Welcome to Front Porch Forecast. Today's video, we are talking about weather safety. Okay, how to keep you and your family safe in different severe weather phenomenons. Now, for today's video, we are primarily focusing on heat safety. Heat safety, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, kind of what to recognize in those symptoms, what to do in those scenarios, and how to keep you and your family safe during these heat advisories that we experience in the summer months, primarily end of July, early August. We just need to stay safe with all of these heat advisories and heat warnings. Okay, let's talk about heat. So let's talk about planning before the heat becomes really dangerous. The preseason, springtime, have an idea of what you're going to do if your AC goes out or there's a power outage. How do you plan to keep you and your family safe during this extreme heat? You cannot be in a building or in your house if there's no AC or airflow. Then you can experience some heat-related illnesses. So you definitely want to stay on top of that. Have a plan already in place. That's mainly what we talk about with most of this safety stuff. Have a plan in place before it becomes crazy and chaotic and, oh my gosh, what do I do, right? I remember last year, our AC broke in the middle of August, in the middle of a heat wave, and oh my goodness, it was chaos us trying to find an HVAC technician to come out and just look at it. They're swamped in the summer years. So possibly if we would have checked our AC unit beforehand, we could have replaced a part, a fan, or anything to prevent the miserable week we had where we had to stay at an Airbnb and hotels until our AC was fixed in the middle of the summer, where it was the biggest heat wave of the year and we were hot. Kids were miserable. We were not enjoying that. So contact your HVAC technician just to have a routine check in the springtime. Never hurts to come check out everything, make sure it's good. A few days out before big heat waves are coming, or even just a few days out before summertime is really gearing up. Make sure you check on your families and friends. You might have an elderly couple that's a couple of doors down from you. Check on them, make sure they know what to do if all of a sudden the AC goes out or there's a power outage. I know it says on here, know your local cooling shelters. Just know, if you can go to a coffee shop, get a cup of coffee, and be in an AC environment. You can walk around the mall. They have AC, things like that. Definitely reschedule outdoor events if you know a heat wave is coming. If you're going to go out and play tennis or soccer or anything like that, those could increase your risk of heat stroke or heat exhaustion. So you might want to reschedule those for a week where you don't have the heat wave coming. So that way everybody can stay safe. Now, during a heat wave, during an extreme heat advisory, extreme heat issues, you want to stay indoors. You want to stay out of the sun as possible. Stay in AC. Check on your neighbors. Once again, if that elderly couple down the road, if they're struggling in this heat, make sure that they're okay. Drink plenty of water. So water is the best way to stay hydrated, and how our bodies react to heat is we sweat. That is our body cooling us down. If you do not have water, you cannot sweat because your body cannot sweat while dehydrated. So water is really, really, really important, especially if you're outside in these heat waves, in this extreme heat environment. Our bodies are not made to be out in the heat for long periods of time. So take plenty of breaks. If you work outside, like construction, or if you're even building a deck or working on a pool outside in the heat, make sure, one, you have a buddy with you. Or if you don't have anybody with you and you're soloing on your back deck, trying to work on something, make sure someone knows you're there. You drink plenty of water. Once again, water is key. Make sure someone knows you're there, and you take plenty of breaks in the shade or in the house with the AC, especially if you start to experience some of the heat exhaustion, heat stroke symptoms we're going to talk about in just a moment. Now, the difference between a heat watch and a heat warning, a lot of people they sleep on heat. They don't pay attention to heat watches. They're like, oh yeah, it's summertime, man. It's going to be hot. You need to have a plan in place. You need to know the difference between a watch and a warning. Same as with the tornado. In a extreme heat watch, you're watching out for these experiences of dangerous heat. In an extreme heat warning, they are warning you that you are in the middle of experiencing this extreme heat. Okay, make sure your pets are indoors in these extreme heat moments. Make sure everybody's hydrated in a cool place. Check on children, elderly, pregnant women, people who are more susceptible to experiencing issues from these heat environments, okay? Now, in that same breath, to prevent heat-related deaths, do not leave anybody in an unattended car. Children, pets, any age can experience a heat-related death in a vehicle. Now, in this little graphic here, the outside temperature is 80 degrees, and it kind of shows you how quickly it gets to 100 degrees inside the vehicle. 20 minutes, it gets to over 100 degrees in 80-degree weather. A lot of states in the summertime, West Coast, we have New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, the Southeast, a lot of states, even Central Plains, experience temperatures above 80 degrees in the summer. So can you imagine if this is just 80 degrees, within 20 minutes it gets to 100 degrees inside that vehicle, that it would even be quicker to get to a very dangerous temperature inside the vehicle. Now, cracking the window is not enough airflow. Even just rolling down a window is not enough airflow for anybody vehicle that is inside the vehicle. Dogs, children, any person. These are preventable heat-related deaths. So I can't talk about heat safety without really honing in on this. I'm a mother. I have 2 children, so this is a subject that's very, very near and dear to me. So just please, please, please remain, look before you lock. Remain vigilant about who is in your car, how long they are in there. Make sure they are never in there without any air conditioning. Just please keep this in mind. These are preventable deaths. These should not happen throughout the year, but unfortunately they still are happening. Now, some vehicles do have safety features that will yell at you. They're yelling, check your back seat, which is great, but please stay on top of this as well with heat safety and stuff. Now, the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Not a lot of people know the difference. Once you start seeing the heat exhaustion symptoms, you need to take action because heat stroke can be quickly behind. Heat exhaustion, you're going to be a little dizzy, a little shaky. You're going to feel weak, almost like, I don't know how to explain it, almost like jello. You're going to feel like, oh, my body's moving a weird way. You can be nauseous, and then you'll have heavy sweating, okay? This is your body's last attempt to cool yourself down. Remember, sweating is our body cooling ourselves down to evaporate off the skin to hopefully expel some of that heat. You are going to be extremely thirsty. You need to stay hydrated, okay? Now, in these moments for heat exhaustion, move to a cooler area, an AC environment, or if you're not near a building with AC, go into the shade. It will be 10 degrees cooler for you to be able to hopefully get past these heat exhaustion symptoms and get back to normal. You need to have loosened clothes. Tight clothes restrict your ability to sweat. And the sweating is what you want. You want to sweat. You want to cool down. You want to sip cool water. You do not need to throw yourself in an ice bath. That will throw your body into shock. Okay? Do not. You need to sip cool water. You can even use an ice cube and kind of put it on your wrist and maybe behind your ear just to kind of cool you off a little bit. But just keep sipping that cool water. Remember, water is hydrating, which helps you sweat and cool down. You need to seek medical help if your symptoms don't improve, okay? You need to go to a walk-in clinic. You need to go to an emergency room and say, hey, I'm experiencing these symptoms. I need help. Now, heat exhaustion quickly can turn into heat stroke. Heat stroke is dangerous. It can be deadly, and it can cause lasting effects, okay? You will experience confusion. You won't know where you are, what you're doing. You'll be extremely dizzy. And in some cases, you could become unconscious. Now, if you are alone and you start experiencing heat exhaustion, You need to call somebody and tell them where you are. Tell them what's happening. And even you can call 911 and say, hey, I'm in this location and I think I'm about to have a heat stroke. And you're all alone. Somebody needs to know where you are and what's happening. Because the quicker they can give you care, medical help, the quicker you are helped and back to normal and not have long-lasting effects, okay? You could have permanent disability in some of these situations from a heat stroke. Once again, with heat stroke, what you're doing, you're calling 911. You are moving to a cooler area, under a shade tree if you don't have any building with AC. You're going to sip on cool water and use the ice on the wrists and behind the ears. Do not throw in an ice bath. Worst thing ever, you will throw your body into shock. One thing that you can notice the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke is you stop sweating with heat stroke. Your body has recognized that the sweating has not done anything. So you actually become kind of dry, clammy skin. And that is another way you can recognize heat stroke. So hopefully this video has helped with the difference between heat exhaustion, heat stroke, what to do in heat emergencies. Check your AC beforehand. Don't do what I did and have the mistake of dealing with it for weeks in August during a heat wave with no AC and begging any HVAC technician to come help you. Do it before they're busy. Just kind of know the safety tips and tricks. I do suggest weather.gov/heat has a wonderful website that you can talk about any type of heat safety. Now, also, they use other safety, weather safety, tornado, wind, hail, lightning. They have all kinds of resources on there. And it's good to watch these videos on what to do. It's good to see some of these graphics kind of explain it in simpler terms. So that way we can understand how to stay safe in all these weather phenomenons. Once again, that is weather.gov/heat if you want to know specifically about heat. Now, you can go to weather.gov and / whatever, you can say tornado, you can say lightning, whatever the weather event is that you want to learn more about safety for your family. And I'm going to be covering more videos about safety as we go, and I'm going to build up a playlist on YouTube for our weather safety. Weather safety is kind of one of my biggest things. I love giving these resources out for everyone to be safe, right? That's what most meteorologists get into this field for. I want to utilize my experience and education to help you provide a safer environment for you and your family in all weather experiences. Thank you for joining me with our weather safety video for today in regards to heat, heat-related illnesses, the difference between heat exhaustion, heat stroke, what to do in certain experiences of heat waves. I hope that this video gave you some insight on what to do and how to plan better for heat wave, heat-related illnesses, and all of those in heat safety. I will be continuing on making more weather safety videos as we go on, so keep an eye on that. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can get updated. And thank you again for joining us today, and I'll see you next forecast.